A long time ago, a boy traveled from Poland to England with his mom and grandma during the 2008-2009 crisis in search of a better life. Now, obviously, this is not a storybook. This is a dictionary I picked up in Krakow when I was traveling and I was sightseeing. So yeah. Now, about the boy. There is a story to continue here and something that can be learned from this. This boy went to school in England with speakers whose mother tongue was English while not knowing much of English himself. Now, I don't like to say native speakers. There's a trend which kind of steers away from saying that, so I'll just use speakers whose mother tongue was English. Now, after this time, he was able to communicate fluently in the language. But everyone could have done it, right? Well, not really. There is this misconception that going abroad for a year will make you fluent. And besides, it's super easy for children to learn a language, right? Well, not really. David P. Ausubel, an American psychologist from the University of Illinois, writes in the Modern Language Journal, "The child does not learn his native language with phenomenal ease and rapidity. Quite the contrary, his acquisition of his native tongue is a long, slow and arduous process." But our boy was about 7-8 years old when this happened. But there is still something relevant and something to be learned here. What was so special about this boy that he achieved fluency in just a year of being abroad? What we also know about this boy is that he studied English in language schools for years after he came back to Poland. And you could technically argue that this was the catalyst for him learning English as well as he did. But is that really the only and primary reason of that happening? I would argue. Think of it this way. How many people do you know that have been studying a language in language schools or on their own or have been abroad and still haven't achieved fluency in that target language? So what can you learn from this boy so that you are not stuck at a level of a language? Now here we would have to examine who is a good language learner. Joan Rubin wrote a very influential paper in 1975, What the Good Language Learner Can Teach Us. So what exactly did this boy do? We can't really go back in time and get in his head, but we can analyze other patterns of the same things, allowing people to master language more quickly. Point 1. The good language learner is a willing and accurate guesser. For a lot of the people and learners I work with, many people have this urge to know and to understand everything that is said. Now, think about your mother tongue. Do you always understand everything that is said, and do you always decipher every bit of meaning? The answer is probably no. You have to guess. You have to be a guesser. First, you'll start as a bad guesser, probably, because it's quite difficult, frankly. Gradually start being better. So you have to take into account a few things. The environment you're in, the surroundings, the mood, the context, all those things that make up a conversation and communication. You have to guess, what did the speaker intend? What message is being conveyed? The tone of the conversation, the intonation. Is it rising or is it falling? Your general knowledge about the topic, all those things make up you as a guesser. So if you want to be better, start guessing. Point 2. A good language learner is ready to go above and beyond to get his message across. So like Joan Rubin says here in this paper, if you don't know the word for hat, you might say something like, the object on your head. And then the person you're speaking to, your interlocutor, will understand what you mean. As long as the communication is successful, it's all right. And next time, you might just remember the word hat. The good language learner will also use lots of gestures to get his message across, to describe meaning by using his hands, his face, and generally his body language. So a disclaimer, Joan Rubin does not write what I'm just about to say here, but I believe it's very relevant within this point and should be there. So not knowing the word and using circumlocution to describe what the word is, or what meaning you want to convey in other ways, should be used as much as possible instead of using L1 translation. L1 means your mother tongue. So for example, if you're a Polish speaker and you can't remember the word car, for example, try to use the object which has 4 wheels, or the object 4 wheels, or even 4 wheels. Point 3. The good language learner is not afraid to make mistakes and can take the embarrassment of making a mistake and appearing stupid or foolish just to get the message across. Number 4. The good language learner is constantly looking for patterns. Patterns are things that repeat in the language. A simple example of this is probably one that you all know. I like learning, I like driving, I like eating, I like etc. So the language learner may not even be aware of the grammar, but will notice that there is something that repeats and will unconsciously and perhaps consciously sort it in his brain. Now here we might use a metaphor of the British rail security campaign from 2016, I believe. If you ever go to England and use the underground or go on a tram, you might hear this.
This is a security message. If you see something that doesn't look right, speak to staff or text the British Transport Police on 61016. We'll sort it. See it, say it, sorted.
So we can use the same logic in our language learning. See it, so see some kind of language or hear it. Say it, you can repeat it quietly or in your mind, and then sort it. Put it in the bag somewhere in the back of your brain. And then if you see it again, you can activate that memory and activate that language and knowledge you have from before. And this will allow you to form patterns and organize the language you see or hear. Number 5, you should be the one creating opportunities to speak the language. Attending some cultural events, finding friends from abroad, attending English classes with a teacher or having individual classes with a teacher, and creating all those situations where you can use the language. So don't just sit around waiting for that perfect opportunity to speak it or traveling abroad just once a year to use it. Go out there and create those situations where you have to use the language because you have no other option. Number 6, the good language learner constantly compares his speech, pronunciation and form to that of others, and he analyzes it and thinks, how can I improve? How can I learn from this speaker? How can I learn from this person? And number 7, a good language learner not only dissects particular items and particular parts of a language to analyze them one by one, but also looks at the bigger picture, so can see the language from above. So those were the 7 things you can start doing today and now to become a better language learner, be it in English or any other language. Now, do you remember the story about the boy? That boy was me. Now, I've been thinking and reflecting, was I a good language learner? And I came to the conclusion that I was not aware I was doing those things, but I was doing those things, and this allowed me to be a better language learner and progress really quickly and get this vocab in, get this grammar in, and get all of this stuff in. I had only spent a small part of my life in England and a little bit of my time growing up there and going to school. So I believe that if I did it, you can do it too. So if you enjoyed the video, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, ring that bell, and in the comments down below, leave what would you like me to discuss in the next videos. Thanks for watching. My name's Eryk, and this channel is to pique interest and educate. So here on YouTube, you will rather find me talking more about language, but if you'd like to learn about English, you might want to follow me on social media. I have an Instagram account which you can follow. I have a TikTok account which you can follow. I'll be uploading shorts there. You can like my page on Facebook. And if you'd like to connect more professionally, you might want to connect with me on LinkedIn. I will also leave my email which you can use for any business inquiries or questions you might have. So thanks again, and see you in my other YouTube videos and on other social media platforms.